Welcome to Out of the Noise podcast, a spiritual growth podcast. This podcast is about holding sacred space to help assist humanity to raise their consciousness through connection by having courageous conversations out of the noise of mainstream with heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. We will explore spiritual concepts, practices, and shadow to deepen into your healing and the collective. Priestess Lilly is a medium, light activator, and heart-centered leader that is committed in raising the light frequency and consciousness here on Earth for us all. You can work with her and learn more by visiting www.priestesslily.com. Enjoy your spiritual learnings.
Welcome to Out of the Noise. I am Priestess Lilly, a channeler, sacred heart healer, and space holder. My purpose is to create content that will help assist humanity in consciousness through connection. I do this by facilitating courageous conversations that will leave you activated, alongside heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans who are expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. Together, we strive to assist a higher level of consciousness and help each other on our own spiritual journey. Today's guest, we all know her, and we fell in love with her as she embraced our TV screens on Masterchef, Jax Hamilton. She's known for seasonal quick meals that are out of the box that will inspire families and friends. She's a mother, a lover of gardening, and Mother Earth's caretaker. But in this podcast, you get to meet Sylvia, a more fulfilled, spiritually aligned and guided woman that she is openly who she is. This podcast will inspire you, hold you, activate you, and allow you to trust yourself. It is full of so much wisdom, and the energy in this podcast is so expansive. I could have spoken to Jax for so much longer, as I always love our conversations, and I know you, the listeners, will absolutely enjoy this.
I'm so excited to be interviewing you. I'm a long-time fan of your work from when you were in Masterchef, and it has been amazing to see you grow so more sovereign and reverent in yourself over the years. So welcome, Jax. I can't wait for you to just share your heart and your journey and whatever this is going to be.
Lily, I always do believe everything happens for a reason, but in the last 9 months, my life has just become a flowing river, and I've just gone with the flow. I've not considered anything other than the way forward. I've not worried. I've not, thought about what I should do, what I shouldn't do. I just listen to my signs, and when they come, because they always do, and they make me laugh because they're so clear, I just let them happen, and it's made my life so much easier and open.
Isn't that interesting? Because, when we think of the flow and we think of feminine energy, that is, we're so born into the hustle and bustle, and we've got to get goals and driven and that real masculine energy. But, when you speak and you're just like, everything's just flowing, you're deeply stepping into trusting into your feminine energy, into, the flow of life.
Yeah, I am more available now to the universe and to myself than I ever have been. It's I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror and I go, oh my God, you're beautiful. And that comes from somewhere very, very deep. But it's been crocheted by all of my experiences. Every single one is a stitch in my life and stitches together the versions of who I've been in order for me to be me today. But interestingly, the person who I present now, who I call Sylvia, which is my middle name, has been the one that's held us all together the whole time. She's been the emotional balance. And so now in this house, in this little community in the West Coast, she gets to come and be the fullness of herself instead of the guide that she's been for 56 years.
Isn't that amazing? So how has that been for you to allow her to lead rather than the identity and the person that Jax is?
It's been a relief because Jax has been really hard. So in my life, I feel like I've been lots of different versions of myself. So I was Jacqueline, the child who was born into a home with no love whatsoever and parents who were basically broken. So when I got there, they were already broken and there was no love. And then I was given the name Julie because in a Jamaican household, you're given the name, like a nickname, which was my mother's name. So I was then Julie, and Julie was a scared child because Julie was part of a household where there was a lot of domestic violence. And then I went to school and I was told that I was Jacqueline, so I was Jackie again. So I was very watchful. I went to a Catholic school where there were not a lot of black children and also where there was not a lot of divorce. My parents by then had separated. So I was that Jackie. Do you know what I mean? And I was Jackie for a long time. I was married as Jackie. I was a mother as Jackie. I was all of those things. But in that version of me, I didn't really know myself. And so I didn't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
But underneath, parallel to all of those people was Sylvia, because Sylvia's always been the heart, the person who's been the intuition, really. And then my marriage after 18 years broke down and I went to do Masterchef. And when I was at Masterchef, Lilly, they said, right, what's your name? And I went, Jackie. No, that's too long. We want you to condense it to go on the apron. So I went, right, Jax. And then Jax was born. Jax was a fighter. Jax went into the studio every day and went, right, bish, bosh, bash, let's get that done. Jax did the countdown ads, went into countdown on the first day and did adverts, never done it before. Jax went into the boardroom and went, no, I'm not having that. I want this. I'm negotiating for myself. That Jax was the hero of the piece, but Jax was exhausting. Imagine going into battle every day, how tired you'd be, and also how jaded you become. And then at Christmas of last year, I went to sleep, me and my dreams. Went to bed, and I had a dream, and it said, sell your house, move. And I was like, because I loved my house in Papua in Christchurch. Sylvia was like, you've had enough. So I woke up, and I called a friend and said, I need to sell my house. Sold it within a week. And then within 6 weeks, I was here on the West Coast. And Sylvia was like, thank beep for that. Thank goodness for that. Now we can truly live. You've experienced all of those versions of yourself, and now we've come back to us, and we are one. And so what's happened in the last 9 months has been Jax has put down her shield and her sword, and I've realised how heavy she has to carry. And Sylvie has gone to horticulture class, is growing a garden, is renovating this beautiful home, and sits during the rain and just watches the rainfall. And I feel like I feel like I am, and I feel like this home, my forever home, is the nest that I've always dreamed of. My house is called Eden, and where I live is Eden. And Eden is, this is my Eden of my existence. All of it, everything that's happened has brought me to this place. And I've never been more grateful.
Oh my God, I can totally, the whole way when you were talking about your story, and I just had goosebumps. My body was really reacting. I can totally, you're totally where you're meant to be, and you've been divinely led there. Absolutely. And just hearing your story, I can really, the last bit, I can really, really identify with it, because I call my version of Lilly an empowered woman. When she shows up, she's exactly doing the same thing. She's working her ass off. She's we'll just go and do it because can't expect anyone else to do it. I'm the one doing the cake at 2 a.m. in the morning, all of those things. And I actually realized that it actually, as much as she loved it, it actually didn't serve her anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Because you can only be, if you consider, that part of my life was a part of a battle, you can't be in battle. I was in battle for 12 years. It tour after tour after tour, and it became a habit which didn't serve me at all. And now when I sit for 2 hours at a time with my French doors open, looking in on my land with the rain, and let me tell you, Lily, it doesn't just rain here, it's water from the sky.
Yeah.
I feel a sense of peace. I feel a sense of peace with myself, and I could very easily just hermit myself and never see a person again, because I feel like I've done all of my talking, I've done all of my conversations. I'm so in love with myself. I am enough that I can just live my days out in my garden, and then when the sun is setting, go to the beach. I won't do that because I know that I have an unsecured voice and I have things to say and things to share. And I am here to help people find their light. That's why I'm here. And I know that. And so once I get myself through this healing process, that's what I'm going to go out and do. Now, food might be that medium, but it's not actually the core of what that is. It's more.
Yeah, I'm hearing you, sister. So how has it been, to really unwind yourself? Because I know that, like, it's a process. A lot of people in my community knew me as Miss Lily, and then all of a sudden she's now a medium. Like, what the hell? Like, how has it been for you to really unwind yourself out of that conditioning and that process?
So first of all, I want to say, in our lives, we can be as many versions of whatever we want to be. We do not have to be that one person that has what people have an expectation of you. That is wrong. That's like putting on a pair of jeans at 16 and never taking them off until you're 80. Well, that's bollocks, isn't it? So how has it been? It's been really hard because it's been, I think, I do believe, Lily, in order to build something new, you have to destroy something old because you've only got one set of foundations. And so it's been a year of experiences. For example, I had never chopped wood before. I'd never lit a fire before because I have a wood burner. And those are simple things. But then it's been all of the friends that I thought were my absolute amazing friends when I lived in Christchurch. As soon as I moved away, it was too hard for them. And so there's been a lot of loss. But in the trusting of my journey, those spaces have been fulfilled either by myself in what I want to do or new versions of friends who truly are my friends. Living on the coast brings with it a series of seasons that just rains, and my beautiful house is been a little bit old, is a little bit old, a bit like me really. We're very the same. We're beautiful, old, and elegant, but we need a little bit of renovation, which will take time. So that's been in parallel as well, which I love. I love my home, and I love what my plans are for it, because in practical terms, that's got to be part of it as well. But the most important thing that I've found that has been a bit of a stigma attached is people don't really, for me, buying a house on my own, doing all the work on my own, people don't see that as something that a woman should do on her own. People are still trying to set me up with guys. And, when the guy came to deliver my wood, he was like, oh, you're on your own? Yeah. And he was like, well, we should date. Like, just because we're both on our own, that's enough to be for us to be attracted to each other. And so those sort of things, which is in the kind of the linear world, still surprise me, because I don't live in that linear world. I live in a spiritually deep oasis where anything is possible. Whereas in the terrestrial world, not a lot is possible. I live in a dream world, and this is a practical world. And sometimes I forget that, because when I'm on my own, I'm just fulfilling dreams every day.
Yeah, totally hear you, sister. And this is the thing that I believe we're transitioning into. We're transitioning out of the 3D matter, the linear world, into the 5D dimensional world. And, it's hard to unwind yourself out of, that timeline, because it's so conditioned into us. And when you move into the 5D world and all of a sudden everything's based on a new reality or in a new version of yourself, or you hold more sovereignty and reverence to how life is going to be governed. I think for a lot of people that's scary, but for me, and obviously for you, it's actually liberating.
Yeah, and I think we've been moving towards it. I feel like in my life, there's always been messages to guide me to. Now, I live in my house with many, many amazing spirits. They're everywhere. I love them. Come out in the garden, they make me laugh. They do little things. I see them in the mirror. They show me what's what. And I'm like, okay, I love my beautiful spirits. And I feel like Sylvie is a very deeply spiritual person. And I trust that. I completely trust that. And I forget sometimes, because another thing I did was So in August, I decided if I was going to build a food forest with respect and mana of the land, then I needed to know what I was doing. So I went to Polytech and I'm doing a horticultural course, okay, which I'm absolutely loving. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
OMG, sister, we need to talk about this. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, so I went back to school. Oh, my day, after 50 years, I went back to school, Lily. Let me tell you, it's been a thing. But I've really loved the whole journey. So because it's a full-time course, I decided, right, I'm going to put my corporate profile on hold, but I need a job because I'd like being idle. So I went down to Hokitika and I went to the local fish and chip shop and I went, hello, can I have a job? And they were like, what? And I said, I need a job. And they said, what, you want a job here? And I was like, yeah, I need a job with food. I can't do any old job like in an office. They went, oh, hold on, we'll just talk to the manager. So they went away, came back and went, well, we need a Saturday girl. Do you want to be our Saturday girl? I was like, yeah. So now I work at the local fish and chip shop on a Friday, Saturday night. And I love it. I flip burgers. I dance to the Spice Girls. I talk to the people at the window. I laugh. No expectations, no stress. And I drive home with the ocean by my side and the sun going down. And I have found myself in the most dreamy space. So I go to school in the day and at night, sometimes I work at the fish and chip shop or I'm working on my food forest. And my garden has become, because as you know, my house is called Eden. My garden has become the Garden of Eden. It has been, the messages I've been receiving have been so clear. And like what happens with me is, because my spirits know me so well, they wait until I went to sleep that night, woke up, looked at my phone, horticulture course. I went, right, I'm doing it. When did it start? Tomorrow. Shit, quick, get yourself down there. Right, need to do this course. Enroll me. Right, lovely. And I don't question it because I'm like, there will be space and I will love it. There was space and I love it. My garden loves it. I love it. So it's to get to this point where you are so clearly spiritually open takes a lot of work and trust in oneself, in I am. Once you get there, the reward is peace and freedom. And freedom and peace. But you can't come into it without love for yourself. Mind, body, soul, physical, mental, all of it. If you don't have those parts of yourself combined, then you will always question what is. And that's what I found this year. I found me within me, and I've healed the parts that have needed to join the other parts for me to be this version of me.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And I think that in order for us to fully step in, we have to become a vibrational match. You know, I think that's the thing. We a lot of people read the books, go, why aren't I getting it? Why isn't it happening? What's going on? I'm manifesting. I'm doing all my woo-woo stuff. But we actually have to vibrationally match it from our hearts. And I think that's what living in harmony in the 5D, in, you know, this full reality world is, where you're just in trust and you're just flowing like the river.
That's right. And I, like my spirits, I've got this thing about, they want to name all my plants and they want to name all the trees in my garden. And I don't mind that. But I've got to the point now where, and like, so let me give you an example of what happened, right? So there was a car boot sale up the road, right, in Kumara Domain. So I was like, right, I'm going to go down to that on a Sunday morning, even though I don't like getting up early on Sunday. So I went down there and I had a little walk around, and then I saw this chamber clock. Ding dong, ding dong. And I was like, right, I need to buy that chamber clock. Someone was like, you know, you need to do the podcast with Lilly. So I bought the chamber clock and brought it home under my arm, thinking I'm a very modern person, but it's quite an old chamber clock. Anyway, the guy said to me, this is what you do. You wind it up. Da, 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 da. Now, that clock is my house's voice. So in times of deep stress, or when there's times when I need an answer, ding dong, ding dong. If there's a problem with my house, ding dong. So now when I talk to them at the chip shop, they're like, "You're absolutely barking," right? And I'm like, "Yeah, I am," because I don't believe I should not talk about it because it's part of my life. Mm-hmm. How they receive it is nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But for me to honour it, it's part of who I am. And just now, because sometimes she ding dongs on the hour, sometimes she ding dongs on 7 minutes past because we're talking. And that for me is how my true life is. So people say to me, "Oh God, aren't you lonely?" And I'm like, "No, I'm alone." It's very different from lonely. It's a very different thing. Whereas a lot of people in the linear world are really, really lonely.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah. And the suffering.
And they look at me and they want parts of me because they want to fulfill it. But like you're saying, if you want to be in this space, right? Let's talk about cooking. Say you can only boil an egg, right, on a Monday. Right, you're boiling your egg, you're chopping it up, and you're eating it. If you want to be in this position where we are, you have to go to school and learn the techniques and have confidence in yourself so that on the Friday you can do the degustation. You can't sit around going, "I wish, I hope, she's got it, I want it," and then do the degustation on Friday because you haven't worked for it, you haven't owned it, and you don't trust it and believe in it. And you can only do the work if you save yourself. No one can save you. Not even Eckhart Tolle can't save you. Brené Brown can't save you unless you're willing to save yourself.
And that's the thing. And you've got to keep showing up.
Yeah, that's right. You have to keep showing up. And that takes courage and strength. And when people around you, like the people that give me advice are the people that could never have my life. So I always say, I only take advice from someone whose life I would swap with. Now, I don't know you very well, but I would swap my life with you because we're on the same path. Whereas my mate in London, who's worked for the tax office for 40 years, who said to me, "I don't think you should sell your house." Well, I wouldn't take that advice. Even Oprah. Oprah's great at giving advice, but would I take dietary advice from Oprah? Well, no, I wouldn't. You have to
I'd love to swap lives with you, sister.
Wow, that's it.
I love the West Coast. I love the West Coast.
But also, it's not even just about where you are. It's about being open spiritually.
Yeah. And, when I connect to just this conversation and conversations that we've had previously, I believe that land's picked you. I believe the land's picked you. You've been called there, like me moving to Picton. Like I feel like we have been, that was just absolutely not meant to happen, but happened the way that it has because it was, divinely led. We're being called there for a higher purpose to create a spiritual place or a space, and so we can expand our energy and our knowing to service the masses, to service more people. But we need clear energy space so we can, do our work and provide the biggest impact there,
Yeah. And I totally agree. I not only did this region where I'd never been before choose me, but this house we chose each other, and I came here and I went, because in my garden there's this big structure, and I thought, I really want a cooking school, right? So a wellness place. I want a place where I can kind of do cooking and do cooking and do bits and pieces and make my medicines and whatever. But I realised recently that what it will become is there is no word for what it will become because it hasn't actually been invented yet because the world is changing so quickly that it will become part of what the new community is. There is no word for it yet. So, and I know that because in creating my garden and having my food forest and my medicinal herbs and stuff, when I'm out there, I get this feeling of a communal space where people will come, where we will all eat together, where we will make tincture, all the things that will happen together. But there isn't a word for it. But the closest word today in modern terms is a cooking school. But that's not actually what it's going to be. And I'm open for that because in the linear world, I have done enough to know there is nothing that can happen now that will be challenging enough for me not to do it.
And I feel for you, and I get that, Because people say to me, what do you do, Lily, for me? And I go, I don't know, I just show up and stuff just happens. But, you know, in the linear world, they want to put a label on you.
Always.
They have a label on you for you to fit in a box, where I'm like, I don't know what I do. Everyone has a different experience. I totally get what you're saying, because I believe, you know, if you were to label it, you're labeling it back in the 3D energy, and you're working with higher realm, you know, you're working with 5th, 6th, 7th dimensional energy and healing powers. And so, and healing. And I believe so heartedly, and I've actually got this on our list to talk about, as the vibration of our souls is changing and the earth is changing, the vibration, so is our food vibration. So is actually how our body wants to consume food. So is, you know, the vibration of the apple versus the apple homegrown from your food forest versus the apple from the supermarket. I can feel those vibrations. Do you have experiences like that? Or
absolutely. And what I've found is, because I know I live 30 k's from the local supermarket, which is fair enough, so it's taken me 9 months to get my garden to the space where I wanted it to be, and I've only started harvesting food out of it. And it started with herbs and tomatoes and stuff like that, you know, just kind of salad stuff and lettuce and stuff like that. So now that now I have manifested into this new version of who I am, and Sylvie is the whole, what is happening is, when I go out into my garden and I pick whatever, I can feel it changing in my body, and it becomes part of the bigger version. If I have something, like for example, if I have some fish and chips from the fish and chip shop, I am immediately poisoned. And not because the food is shite or anything. It's because the food that is been prepared there is not made for the human body that is in tune with everything that's happening in my body. And I know that. And I have to say to myself, to my body, I'm going to eat this food now. And I know it's not going to be good for me, but I'll go back to where I was tomorrow and I will make that work. And that tells me so much more about what we've been taught about food and herbs, and versus what we actually consume, which is so terrifying. You know, I live by a series of preventative measures, not preventative, but just wholeness. So I'll get up in the morning and I have this concoction of honey and turmeric and ginger and garlic, and it's local honey, and I'll have one of those, and that keeps my inflammation down. And I'll have in my fridge, I have some onion water. So I've got an onion cut up with water. I'll take 2 gulps of that every other day, and that just keeps viruses away. Do you know what I mean? At night, I'll rub my feet with kawa balm that I've made myself. I've picked it myself, and that just keeps me nicely balanced. So people go, oh my God, there's loads of COVID in Greymouth. I'm like, I ain't going to touch me. Do you know what I mean? I've got gold inside me. I'm sorted out, and I don't. And also, my mindset isn't towards that. I have a very positive mindset. But one thing that has really been really interesting, you know, in life, you go around and you might do a white lie. I know I can't come out because, do you know what I mean? And then you lie. What has also happened is, as soon as I go into that mindset, my life changes to the negative. So, for example, somebody invited me to go out to the pub, and I thought, I'll just tell them that you're, you know what I mean? You've got something to do. But as soon as I start lying, my life, I can feel the negative impact of that. So my compass is always balanced in that positive space of truth and honesty. Yeah. Because as soon as I go out of it, even a little bit, I feel it start wobbling. Do you know what I mean? And then as soon as I bring it back, it's like, yeah. And that has taught me a lot about life, but also what it's done, it's shown me people really clearly. So I am that empath where I feel people's energy, even animals, cats and dogs, even on telly, I can kind of go, that person's feeling that. And I know that that's what they're feeling, because then it's justified. So in this year, I've gone from this kind of tumultuous place to loss to this. And as soon as I go, oh no, just tell Lily you can't do it, because it kind of goes, and I'm like, oh, that's not right. Ah, right, okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've got this cat comes to see me. Oh, this cat. This grey cat, green eye with like gold eyes. And I called it Josephine. Wow, wow. And then it looks at me like, I'm like, Jesus, it's my familiar now. I don't know if I told you, but this year, I've always been a cat lover. Last year, my cat Pumpkin died, and I'd had her for 16 years, and it broke my heart. When I got here, one of the neighbours said to me, oh, you should just go down to there and get yourself some cats. And I thought, I'm not ready for these cats. But she kept on going on. And her energy was really off. And something in me said, don't do it because you're not ready for it. And she's not the right person to bring you it. Her energy's off. So what did I do? Didn't listen. Early on, went down there, got these 2 black cats, Chadwick after Chadwick Boseman and Sydney after Sydney Poitier. And they were beautiful, beautiful, right? So in August, I went to Queenstown, had to do a job. My neighbour calls, I'm really sorry, one of your cats been run over. I was like, hard work. Came home, picked up Chadwick, buried him in the garden. Sydney just sat there for 6 weeks. Woke up one morning, he was dead.
Brokenhearted.
Brokenhearted. I was brokenhearted, but I knew that it was wrong for me. Now, I know that they were there for a reason to get me through a certain amount of period of time with their attention, but right from the beginning, I knew it wasn't right. I just knew it wasn't right. Now, Joe's come along, and Joe's like, wily old cat, maybe 400 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like, and Joe is right for me because when the messages are ready to send you what you need, then they come.
Yeah.
And that is how I live my life.
Totally. I love that. And so, and when you're so aligned, life doesn't feel hard. I think that's what people forget.
Because you trust everything.
Yeah.
So you
know, everything will be provided.
Yeah. When I sat down to do my first assignment, I've been to school for 50 years and I was like, it's going to be really hard online. And then I went, you know what? This is going to be fine. And I went, done. I was like, yeah, see? And I've done 9 assignments since. And I've got 2 assignments left to do. And then I graduate on the 13th of December as with a horticultural course. And you have to get that trust, you have to trust yourself. There is no going out and asking, well, what do you think I should do? No. You get up. You sent me the example I'm going to use is you sent me that, could you do a podcast? And Jax was like, well, come on, this is a job. You need to get a job. And I responded like that. Wrong. Went to sleep and all my guides were like, who do you think you are? Going back there, dipping in there when you feel like it, when you know this is who you are, and you know you've got a voice, and you know Lily's going to be that person who's going to be able to help you spread that voice. Contact her and tell her you're doing it. Oh, I was like, okay, can I still do it? Oh, I'm scared. Yeah, not scared, but it was like, and I'm still learning because for 50 years, I had to be that person. So I'm still learning, but because I'm shifting quite quickly. I know that I can get there a lot quicker. I can kind of get to the places I need to because of all the learning that I've had, and because I'm so in touch with my intuition.
Yeah. And so curious question. Do you feel that as you've stepped into this new version of yourself, do you feel the chamber of your heart has changed on not how you view things, but are you holding more light for yourself and also for the collective energy and compassion and, non-judgment? Have you noticed like that element of yourself is changing?
So first of all, it's not a new version of myself. Imagine a hallway with all these doors, right? And I am 6 doors, and I have been each of those doors, and I've opened them. The door of Sylvia's always been cracked open, but the light has been very bright. Yeah. So all the light that the hallway's ever had has come from the crack in Sylvia's door.
Well, you're ready to share her now. Well, she's taking over. I shouldn't say like that, but you know what I mean.
Well, that's it. She is. And it's about time as well because I need her. So I feel I feel like the light that she is illuminating me with has always been there, but it has been fortified with all of my experiences. So it's brighter and lighter, and it is all encompassing, and it guides me. It guides me that it's like a shadow goes behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvie's light illuminates in front of me, always. And within that, there is so much to learn about life and people and myself, and also the ethereal world. Because I do feel that's where this house and who I am is in that world, and I step back into the other world when I need to communicate with people, and then I come back and then I live in this space. Because when people come here, they go, oh, feel really good. I don't know, it's got, a guy came the other day because I'm having my new roof put on, and he went, oh, I feel like I've stepped into old Mother Hubbard's cupboard. It's such a beautiful feeling. It's got a lovely vibe. And as you walk in the door, so I've written in pen, so it says, I open this space and myself to divine love. May all the energy that flows through here benefit the heart space. May it hold compassion, nurturance, forgiveness, and truth. I never say amen anymore. I say a woman, because that's who I am. And then I've signed it, Sylvie. So in my office, if I turn my computer around, it's right by the front door. So everyone that comes past passes that prayer, and everyone that leaves passes that prayer. And when I come and go, I always recite the prayer. And when I sit in my office, I see the prayer. That's personal to me. Now people are like, you've written on your wall. I'm like, yeah, I have. It's my wall. I can write on what I like. But also that's my prayer to me and to Eden, that I will honour where I live, with who I am.
And the sacred space.
In the sacred space.
Like your house is the altar.
Exactly like that.
You're feeding, like it's your sacred space, and it's actually your living altar that
That's
feeds
right.
you, and through food, through the land, through nourishment, through all elements, plus and you're provided in that space, and you're safe.
That's right. So in back to your question, the new version of me, which is the old version of me, has taken all of the experiences. It's like a tapestry, a really rich tapestry that every day gets another stitch. And sometimes it gets a bit of gold, sometimes it gets a bit of silver, sometimes it gets a little bit of black, because losses represent a big part of me, but also they help me move forward. But you're right, this house is my altar. So that's why I say, at the moment, men are not allowed, unless it's for work, men are not allowed in here, because it holds a lot of feminine positivity. And it's like the most sacred part of me, like legs open, in you come.
I was just going to say, it's the womb space of you.
That's the womb space of me.
The womb space of the wisdom of the tree, the trees of... well, this is what they're telling me. Don't worry. This is a podcast about you, but I'm just going to
What are they saying? What are they saying?
Well, the trees, I get trees are like the legs, the framework, if that makes sense. It's the wisdom, and it's holding the sacred wisdom, and it almost like it in a portal energy of the womb. So this is your space of greater creation, greater knowing. I almost want to say the trees grid the house.
And if I turn this around, so this is my office. In every corner, I have one of those. And if you look at the ceiling, right?
God.
Yeah. So I have. So it's I call this my tree house. So there's another one over there.
What type of wood? What type of trees?
I'm not really sure actually. And I would so the four corners of my house have these big logs, right? And then when you go upstairs, when you go upstairs, let me see if I can find it. I can't do it any other way. I don't know how to do it the other way. I'm not. But when you go upstairs, it's like I live in a church. So when you go upstairs, it looks like, let's see if I can find it for you on my phone.
Because it's like a funnel of light. It's a funnel of wisdom.
It's a funnel of light, and there's lots of, just trying to find, I can't find it. And it's like upstairs, it's like a church, but it's all wood. So there's the four corners that have the big logs. And then when you go upstairs, it's like you're in a church, and there's small windows, but there's lots and lots of light. And then when I wake up in the morning, I see straight out of a window that is to Mount France. So I see a mountain every morning, and it greets me. And it is the most. It feels very. I can't really. So that, if I can show you that is kind of upstairs in my house. Can you see that?
Yeah, love it.
I can't really. So you saying that about the trees, and you saying that about that, or the altar, and you saying about it being the womb, it's exactly how I feel, because it's exactly what it is. And as I said to you before, I'm just trying. Oh, here we are. So when I wake up, I see.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating. Oh,
yeah.
That's got real potent energy. That's got lots of light codes too.
Yeah. It makes me, so what it does is it brings me back to balance. So every when I wake up, I kind of go, ooh, and it brings me back to balance. And I jump out of bed and I go, oh gosh. And I talk to myself, and I talk to Eden. So every morning I come down, I say love and light, and I say morning to Eden. We have a conversation, and because this is such my norm, and I suspect it's such your norm. Like the other day I was at the chip shop, and I was getting my stuff done, and I heard Sylvie, and I was like, yeah, and she said there's something wrong with the house. So that was Eden, Sylvie, and I've got one of those ring phones, and basically, because I don't know if you know, but I had a stalker, and so there's a little bit of thing around there. But I don't really talk about it much because I don't want to invite that vibrational energy. But when I got back, my ring camera had run out of battery, so she was just going, right, we've run out of battery. So I was like, okay. Now I went, oh right, I've just heard from my house. And everyone was like, sorry? And I was like, oh, my house has just told me there's something wrong with my house. What? So what? And I forget that's what every day I converse with my home and my guides and my spirits, because everyone expects me to be Jax the cook, the celebrity chef. And I say to people, Jax is what I do, but Sylvia is who I am. Very different, you know?
And I get that, because I totally get that, because when you become fully embodied in yourself, in all aspects of, you know, who you are, even the bits that you don't show, you know, and for me, it was my mediumship, and, you know, I've integrated it into the here and now, that it's like a living part of my being, if that makes sense. It just is like, here I am, you know, where before I used to hide and try and like squash it back down there.
Yeah.
When we come fully embodied is when we actually truly love ourselves more fully, and life really begins to become a flow and a party rather than a struggle.
But we've got to remember is that there are years and years of
hard work.
Well, no, you know, back in the day, you and I would be like holding hands while they're building a fire around our feet, right?
Totally.
Right. But no one ever questioned the man with the matches.
No, exactly.
No one ever questioned the man with the matches. So, and I think there's a lot of stigma attached to, because people live so hard and fast in the linear world, the terrestrial world, there's a lots of questions around the world that we live in. But it doesn't stop people from being attracted to our energy, because we live fully within ourselves. And the other day I was at a friend's house in Lincoln, and we were just chatting, and I went, oh my God, I can smell cigarette smoke. Oh my God, there's a man here. Oh God, he's really sad. And she went, oh, my brother committed suicide. He hung himself. He was a heavy smoker. I said, well, he's here. She was like, what? And I went, you don't talk to him. Why don't you talk to him? He wants you to talk to him. She was like, hold on. And I said, and I was like, he really needs you to what, and it became, and she was like, you just said that over wine. And I was like, because if someone just walked in the door, that's how I will talk to them. And for me, it's no different. And if I make it, if I sensationalize it, then it becomes this weird thing. It's not a weird thing. Your brother is here and he wants you to talk to him. That's it. And it was like, and for me, I was so surprised because it's becoming more, that's becoming more and more. And I'm down with it. Like, shit, man, I'm down with it. Less social media, less of all this kind of distraction and programming, and more of being, seeing, feeling, understanding, and communicating on the level that is expected of my spirit, soul, body, and mind. Mm-hmm. More of that, more of being available for what is coming through on a daily basis, more of going out into my garden and talking to my trees, my grandfather tree, and having an understanding of the nature of mother and what she requires of me, more of spending time with the mountains and being refreshed on a daily basis by what is true as opposed to what isn't true, which I understand we need it, but it's like, you know, on here it says, alone by herself, she built the kingdom that she wanted. Of course she did, because she's a bitch. But anyway, but it's like more, and I can feel that if we speak again in 6 months, I will be different again. Yeah, and we speak again in a year, I'll be different again, because I am becoming more of what is expected of me as a human than what was before. And I'm here for it, and I'm loving it. And it's not,
oh, sorry.
And it's not, it's not contrived. It's not an ego trip. I'm not validating something. It's something that is growing in me, like my hair grows, that I am just down with. That's all. And I think we all have it if we're open to it.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with you. And I see you inviting, and you're connecting. You're inviting Mother Nature and nature and the harmonies of the elements of, the world, of all aspects, above, below, and in between. And it feels like, to me, you're also reclaiming old wisdom, old codes from past lives, that when you do start to birth your cooking school, that's not your cooking school, but let's just call it cooking school, into this world, it won't be recipes. It'll be all intuitively just guided, probably the way that that Jack's cooked in Masterchef, just intuitive, because you'll reconnect, but it's just going to be a different language because it's a different coding and connection.
Yeah, and all of those lessons that I have accrued over the years, like Masterchef, will come into play because everything is for a reason. Absolutely everything is for a reason. I can go out there today and go, I need a whatever, and then later on, it just appears. And that's the same with my lessons that happened with Masterchef and, my divorce, at the moment I'm going through a real hard time with my children, because when I was in Christchurch, I was available for them emotionally the whole time. And then I've moved here and I need them emotionally and it's not available. So this is another lesson in that, which has been the hardest part of the loss for me, because I think when you're in the city, you don't have time to really sit and observe things. And then when you move away and you start becoming, you see things for what they truly, truly are. So at the moment, I'm going through quite a hard time with my sons, but when I look back all the hard times I've had that have taken me to a better place. So this is the biggest lesson, is in trusting this process to bring me through. But when I moved here, I said to the universe, I want this to be just for me. I want some time for just me. And so I asked for it as well. So you've got to be careful for what you ask for as well.
Yeah, I say that to people. Be very clear and very specific. And if you're asking, use intent. because if your language isn't matching the vibration, it might come around not looking the way that it should.
That's right. And so often what I'll go is, I really would like, and I'll go, oh, hold on, don't ask for it yet. Don't ask for it yet. Ask for it when you need. Properly sit down, think about what you want. Because I know, like when the job with the fish and chip shop, I went, I need a job. I can't work at New World. I need a job in food. And that came from very deep. And then I was walking past Porters and I went, right, I'm going to ask at the window. And it was exactly what I want. But as you know, sometimes when you ask for stuff, it comes, like I did with my sons and my house. And I wanted it to be for me. What it meant was, then I went and I manifested all those things that weren't right for me. The cats weren't right at the time. And that was the linear side of me, asking for stuff and not connecting. But I couldn't connect because I wasn't there yet. So I am here now and I know. And like, it's like my house, because of its peaks and stuff, it has a lot of birds in the roof. Now I'm getting a new roof, right? So it has a lot of birds and stuff in the roof. Now I'm like, oh, bloody hell, bloody birds in the roof. And then a voice says, but you need those birds. They're not there for no reason. Let's see if I can find the house for you. They're not there for no reason. You need the birds. And I'm like, oh, they make a lot of noise in the morning. And I know that the birds are there for a reason. The birds are there here's my house, here we are. So that's.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yes, that's the scaffolding. Yeah, so that's
a witch's house, sister.
Yeah. Well,
she's got her own little, totally. Love it.
So I get up and go, oh, bloody birds, rah, rah, rah. And then Morrigan says, you need the birds. The birds are going to tell you when there's danger around. The birds are there for a reason. Don't diss the birds. And then I'm like cooking or whatever, and I can hear tweet, and I'm like, bloody hell. And then Morrigan is like, girl, you have no idea how important those birds are. So sometimes there's a bit of a tip from to one world to the other, but I know that everything is for a reason. And that's not a cliche. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that because that's how I live too. But probably for some of the listeners are probably thinking, how do you get there? You know, because they want it to be a tangible here and now. And I know that for my own self, it's a lot of unwinding. It's a lot of unwinding, and you have to get raw and vulnerable with parts of yourself that you might wanted to run away from. And you don't always, I know for myself, and you'll probably be the same, Sylvia, that you don't always like the message you hear from them. And you go, shit, I don't like that message. And you ignore it. And then you go back to it and you're like, yeah, okay, actually, I hear you.
Yeah. You know, I feel like I've been in a big car crash, right? And I've had to go and have physiotherapy. I've gone to the gym. My legs are really thin. My muscles are really, really weak. And I see a woman over there and she's got a body that is amazing. My journey is that first day at the gym. You go to the gym, you lift a couple of weights, you're like, oh, get up in the morning, you walk like Robocop, and you're like, fuck, I can't sit down. All that business, right? But if you don't go to the gym and you don't build those muscles, you will not become the version of yourself that you want to be.
Yeah. And
no one's going to go to the gym for you. You have to go to the gym. You have to feel the pain and you have to feel the power come into you and believe it. So one day you can go to the gym and you can go on every single machine and know that you can combat it and go to a better place. When you go to the gym, you don't ever become that one version. You become versions upon versions upon versions. And as soon as you stop, you start to retreat back to that place. And in the linear world, it's really easy to just flow back in. I live in this small town in Camara. When I go to Christchurch, it's like I've stopped going to the gym. You go to malls and you see people sitting there and they're really unhappy. And it makes me, I sit in the car and I cry because it makes me feel like this is a world of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go into like the other day I went to, well, not the other day, but 6 weeks ago I went to Christchurch and I had to go into Bed Bath and Beyond. And the guy looked up from the counter at Rickerton and he just went, can I hug you? And I was like, okay. And because some people can see the light and they can feel the light and they don't know how to connect with it. So I was like, yeah. And he hugged me and he went, oh my God, you made me feel so good. And I was like, okay. But also what that does, it takes more light out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had to get what I needed and leave, and then kind of come out and get into the fresh air and touch a tree and do all those things that people think is a bit new age, but it's actually not new age. It's what we've always been doing, but we've been told not to do it. We've been told not to connect. We've been told not to be that person who is free to make own choices and follow their dreams. And, you know, as you know, when I was 16, I was homeless and I lived in Soho on a bench. And I thought, I'm just going to die on this bench. But if I don't, how easy will life be? Because I didn't die. But I think everyone comes to that point to make that change for themselves, whether it's at 16, 26, 36, 46, and now I'm 56. But if you're not brave enough to hold that fire for yourself, then you cannot have any expectation for someone to hold it for you.
Mm. And I think what you just shared is has so much wisdom. You know, I think we're in a real, right now on the earth, in the world, we're in collective change, and what we're birthing into isn't exactly ideal. I think there's an expectation for many people that, you know, institutions, governments, it's not my responsibility, someone else will fix it. We need to start, if we did our work on ourselves and really started to take responsibility and, you know, cut some cords and actually did this work, you know, 10 years ago, we probably would never have got to this point. And I think as more and more light workers, you know, light workers, witches, way showers, seers, whatever, healers, step out and start to detract from the 3D reality, from this world is going to self-explode, because people are going to start to realize, where have those people moved to? Where have they gone? How come I can't feel that energy anymore? It's not here. And this is what we're starting to really, really see now in our collective. I know so many light workers and, you know, people like you, me, whatever we want to need to label ourselves as, moving away and being called to different parts of New Zealand and different parts of the world. And just through randomness, that's not random, we know that, but like
design.
Yeah, because they don't want to be in cities, because they can't survive in cities. They can't survive in Christchurch. I know that for myself. I live in Rangiora. I can't even, the energy in Rangiora right now is just like, ugh. I just go, oh my God, if I have to sit in another coffee shop and have a coffee, I'm going to, like, I just feel suffocated. I'd rather go and have a coffee down at the river, sitting on my bum with my girlfriend, or go for a walk having a coffee. Yeah. It's just becoming, because as our frequency is changing, it's more noticeable.
Yeah. And I think you're right, that word suffocation. I know now, and this is 100%, if I had stayed in Christchurch, Spirit would have said, your job's done then. And I'd have been dead. I'd have been gone. I'd have been back into the system, back to the factory. Right, let's make a new version. Because I could feel it very quickly. And that word suffocation is exactly how I felt. I woke up one morning and I thought, and I loved my house, I loved my garden, I loved where I lived, but I loved that version of that linear life. Yeah. But it wasn't real.
Yeah.
Because there's not been one morning I've woken up here and gone, oh, I really miss it. Because I haven't.
Yeah.
Not one morning.
Yeah. And I've noticed it more since, you know, obviously I've got a home in Picton and a home in Rangiora. When I'm in Picton, my heart, my energy just sings. You know, I'm under the water with the whales, having some out the gate spiritual experiences, but like that, you know, I just go, wow, what the hell happened last night? Or, oh my God, it's just next level. When I'm back in Rangiora, my energy field comes clunky. I can feel it. I feel suffocated. I feel contracted. I love Rangiora, but I just where I live right now, there's subdivisions coming all around me, and I just kind of go, my country life, my like soul house, my, you know, everything that I created is just getting smaller.
Yeah. And I am so reassured when I leave my house, I have the ocean to my right and the Alps to my back, right? And I am so reassured by those Alps and those mountains and the energy that I get from them that helps me really be in tune with my ultimate purpose. And I am lucky, not lucky, that's not the right word, but because I've lived a lot of my life making decisions for myself, I don't find it hard to step into my courage at all. Mm. But stepping into the light is cool. I'm finding it harder because it's so big. So big. And sometimes it feels like it will just, like I'll just become the light. And then I'm like, whoa, what do I do now? And I know that's not going to happen because it's a graduate thing. Buying this house was gradual. Knowing that it was right was gradual. Having conversations with her has been gradual. Like I used to say to people, yeah, I bought this new house. She's a bit leaky. Come home and it would leak. I'll be like, ooh. The next day, oh, she's a bit leaky. And then Sylvia went, stop saying I'm leaky. Stop saying she was leaky. She shouldn't leak anymore. So, it was like, oh, right, okay. And then it became, like, okay, right. Sort it out. Put Jacks down. And here's the thing, and I want to tell you this because everything happens for a reason. So when I was a child, and as you know, I grew up in a household that was really not very happy. But every school holidays, I'd be sent to Birmingham, which I suppose, if you're in Christchurch, it will start being sent to Timaru. I'd be sent to Birmingham. I'd spend my holidays with my Uncle Bill, my Auntie Milda, and my cousin Debbie. And they had this little house in Birmingham that had an open fire and French doors. And I loved it there because being there was like being part of a family. There was always food and it was always warm and there was love. And I loved it there. But my mother used to make me feel bad about going there because I would come back and I'd put on weight and I'd be happy and I'd rosy cheeks and stuff. And she couldn't provide that in her own home. So she always made me feel like I was cheating on her. But she sent me there. But she was a narcissist, so we can't blame her for that. So one day I was here and I was scraping some chicken bones into the fire. And then I was in my Uncle Bill's body. I was in that outside that fire in Birmingham. And I thought, I've bought a house in Birmingham. That's where I've bought this house. Is that home that made me feel so happy. But I didn't even know that, that real like, oh my God, this is that same home. I've manifested it in my dreams so I could be happy here, so I could be homely here, so I could look after myself here. So now whenever I build a fire or I put anything in there, I could think, Uncle Bill, my beautiful uncle who made me feel so happy, who was a father I never had. And I hadn't thought of him for 50 years, but this house is like the beating heart of all that has been good and homely and wholehearted, and where I can build the true essence of who I am so that I can help people out there build the true essence of who they are. Because I think we all go through life forgetting what was really real and trying to perpetrate what isn't real. And so this year has been a resurrection of all of those good things that have made me love life and be truly a good human. And if I could do that for 2 people in the rest of my lives, then I've done a good thing. And, when I get to, let's call it heaven, I want to say to whoever's up there, let's say it's Oprah, right, smoking a cigar, or let's say Maya Angelou, right? So I get up there and I'm like, hello, Maya. And she's like, oh, child, you've done a good job. I want to say, with all of you gave me all these gifts and I've used every single one to make the world a much better place. I've used them all up. And so that's why I'm here to
set the clock. Oh, I love it. Hashtag you can't make this shit up, people.
Right. So I want to say to her, Maya Angelou, Maya, you gave me all these gifts. I've used them up. I'm empty. I've made the world a better place. I've left a bit of a legacy. There may be a song about me. Give me my gin and tonic. Point me to my bloody cloud. I hope I'm sharing it with Michael Jackson or someone who's got a bit musical. That's what I want to do when I'm finished. I want to be empty of the gifts that I was given to make the world a better place. That is all. And that doesn't the world is not going to become a better place by the linear structure that we have, run by men who don't care about children or women. That is not going to happen. It's going to happen with people like you saying, right, let's talk about this, because people need to be aware. They need to start the journey today, because the journey takes a long time. It's your own true Mecca. It's how you get to become better at being better human. We're all born into humankind, which means we should be kind humans. I don't see a lot of that, but I feel a lot of it is available. How do we tap it? How do we get there?
I love it. I think that's what we're here to find out. And I think it's through us moving more consciously into our chamber of our heart, into our soul purpose, and releasing ourselves from the structures and the pains of the conditioning of the ego, the collective, and actually really honouring ourselves. I think that's a starting point. I don't think it's all of it, but that's the first starting point. And I think you're doing it beautifully.
As are you. And we find each other through the network of the light, right? I met you 8 years ago on a golf thing that didn't work for either of us. And then I went to see my kinesiologist, and she said, you need to see Priestess Lilly. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then we connected. And the universe was like, tick, right, I sorted, who's next? Let's bring them in, right? So, and I know from working at the fish and chip shop, I know there's work that I need to do there. I can feel it. And I know they think, we don't know her well, but we like her. Why is she here? But they love me. Why? And I know I can not manipulate, but I can make things happen and leave a light on that they can all gather around and know that they can make the world a better place. Now, look, I'm not a prophet at all, but I am available, I know, to, like when I light a fire, there has to be some red embers in there for the next piece of wood to become hot. That's how I feel I am. I am the embers. If you put a piece of wood by me, it gets its own embers. I can walk away and it can have its own fire. You're the same. Right, okay, right. There's your little bit of fire. You're really lovely. You're creating warmth around you. People will be attracted to that warmth. They will then do that. And I know that there are, here on the coast, there are lots and lots of women like us, and a few men like us as well. And I'm a single lady, right? And I thought, I really would like to be in a relationship with a guy, but I have to be very careful, because if I do say that, then what will happen is, there'll be a knock at the door, hello, and I'll be like, oh no. But I also recognise I'm just not ready for that. And I know it's coming, that union of this amazing guy, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So the reason I'm saying that is because I think in our realm, there are sacrifices that need to be made. And the biggest sacrifices, I feel, are really attached to the linear world that we hang on to. Oh, I've got to be in a relationship. Do you know what I mean? Well, if I don't have a relationship, people... And I think that when you're talking to your listeners and they are considering this path, consider it openly and wholeheartedly. It's almost like becoming part of, not a religion, but it's a bigger thing than that. Religion's a very small word, and it's very destructive in this universe. But you and I are part of that same religion. Right? Lakshmi in Hokitika, we're part of the same religion, right? I don't really know who. Jennifer, my kinesiologist, she's part of that same religion, whatever that is. But we're doing light work and making the world a better place via a spiritual connection and it's coming down from the, it moves through us from the sky, through our bodies, and it earths us to the ground. So like today, I get this pull to my garden, even in the rain. Oh yeah, right, okay, right. Hello, pumpkin. I'm going to put you in the ground now, and you're going to give me some pumpkins. Well, oh, and it goes, where yeah. Oh, how are you doing? How are you doing? And in my garden, so the first two trees I planted was an apple tree called Eve and a fig tree called Adam.
I love it.
You have to come, Lily.
I'm coming.
There's power in my garden. So, and every morning I get up, and if it's raining, I make me coffee and I go out and I go, morning, Eve, because Eve's the first tree I always talk to. Come on, how you doing? And I speak to Adam, and so we have these, and then all the trees in my garden will only bear food. There are no trees other than my grandfather Punga, who lords it over everything. Otherwise, it's all food. And we, as light givers, will all have our own version of what my garden is to me. You will have yours, and it might be, and it could be your podcast. Mine, with my talents, well, as my talents grow, as my garden grows, how does your garden grow, right? Mine is in parallel with my garden. I know that so strongly. It's becoming a massive part of who I am. I feel the roots of it. I feel the rain when it's drenched in it. I feel the sun when it's baked in it. I feel it when I cut some dill the other day and put it in my fish pie. I feel it inside me. It's really, really, really strong. Goes very, very deep. It encompasses many, many generations and versions of who I have been in my 9 lives, and will follow on. Mm-hmm. And I know that when my time is done, then the body will expire, but my spirit will continue, because that's all that is. And I this meat kind of sack that I'm carrying around, my spirit in, like, I don't know, whatever. And that's what we connect with. Mm-hmm. What people, not sure what it is, but they like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I totally know what you mean. And oh my God. Do you know, I love this conversation. I know we've talked for over an hour, but we have. I just got to ask you I've got to ask you 2 more questions. So your Garden of Eden, how many more gifts do you think she has that you have to uncover?
Well, so she's at, so it's quite a big piece of land. And what I love about my garden is, when I first arrived, I had no visions for it. So what happens is, I go out there and something will go, well, that can be there. I go, okay. So here, it's my garden it's been landscaped, but it kind of looks a bit like that. But there are many, 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 many gifts within that space, because ultimately the garden is not just for me. The garden is for everybody, and within that, the gifts will become apparent, because it's not just for me. And the people that it attracts, I recognize that. They kind of come into the space and kind of go, oh yeah. And so I don't have, on that side of the road, I don't have any neighbours really, but on that side I do. So it's quite an open space, and it's quite a long space. So I don't really know, because every day something new happens, and every day I'm given a message to do something a bit different, or to understand something. So as much as I'm going and I'm doing the academic work, which I'm really enjoying, soil pHs and pruning and pests and diseases and fertilizers and growing media, intuitively, it's also going, we should do this and we should do that. And I allow that to flow through me when I am in the space, when my hands are in the dirt, when I am progressing towards the collective reason why it's there, because it's not just for me. And one day I will go and it will be there for purpose. And I understand that. So I don't really know how many more there are. But the biggest thing is, it's the biggest gift there ever has been to me and to this region and to this community. And I don't think people realise how big it is, because it's going to be huge. Like, it is. Really huge.
Yeah. It is. And I see part of, I don't see it as just the garden. I see it as tinctures and pastes and stuff. I see it as, cooking classes. I see it, but not cooking classes. I see it as workshops, retreats in a space of great healing through conversations, creating sacred space for conversations with women, like healing.
Yeah.
So I think it's multiple. I think it's like not just this function; it's multiple functions.
And I can do that. So the other day I was interviewed by the Greymouth Star newspaper. Oh, celebrity chefs come to Greymouth, or what are you going to do? And I told them what I was going to do, and I said that I was going to have this wellness space. And she said, "Oh, so is it going to be? Are you going to promote it on social media?" And I said, "No." And she said, "What?" And I said, "No." I said, "The people that are going to come are going to become because I built it. It's not going to be about the blah. I've been there. It's going to be about being on a journey, coming there like a kind of like a mecca." And then it's part of that journey to make you a better place. It's not about coming with your girlfriends, getting pissed and then leaving. It's never going to be that. So the people that need to find it will just find it. She said, "Well, do you think that will work?" And I was like, "I don't even think it's going to work. It's really working." Like, child, you have no idea who you're sitting with, sister. So I didn't say that, obviously, because you have to slip into the other world so you can be part of this world. And I understand that. And also, she was only about 8. I don't know, maybe she was, 28, I don't know. But she was a very young-minded person, and people are really hung up on believing in the social media aspects of making things successful as opposed to vibrationally energizing what you have and making it work in that way, which I know I can do, and not in an arrogant way, but it's because I know I've seen it, I feel it, and I know that that's what it is. So this house and this garden were gifted to me. They don't belong to me. They're gifted to me for me to make them habitable, for me to accept that, your energy. I've said to all of my friends, this is a house only for women's energy until I can work out what I'm going to do with men's energy. Because men come and go, "Oh, she's really old. You need to do this. You need to do that." I'm not having it. Yeah. And I also have a set of rules for Eden's house rules, where if you walk through the door, you have to bring something that's growing, and I plant it in the garden, and then we grow together. If you don't bring something that's growing, you can't come. So, and all of these things I didn't know would come out of my mouth until they come out of my mouth. My prayer by my door, I was walking out the door and I went, "Hold on," got my pen. Right now, it properly greets people. So I don't know what's going to happen in my life, but when I hear the messages, then I act on them. That's all. I'm a conduit for what is coming, what is now, and what has been. And I am so honoured that I was chosen.
So rich.
As are you. Yeah.
Love it. So just before we end and close out, because this has just been such a delicious conversation, what final words or wisdom would you like to share with the listeners that are sitting here just listened to, an hour of your magnificence and your being, and are just like morphed in you? Because I can feel you. This is magical. This is massive. I don't actually think you realize how massive what you're creating.
Sometimes I get scared because everyone says, "Well, why me?" Right? And I don't say that, but there are great things that happen in the world, and a lot of things point arrows to me and you and people like us doing great things. And what if you are that great person doing that great thing? And that is quite scary, because I'm a very humble person. Even though you might think I'm talking quite egotistically now, imagine if you sat with Jesus now and he was like, "Oh, I never thought it was going to be me." Do you know what I mean? I just put on my sandals, went out. I didn't know it was going to be me. I mean, he's a geezer, isn't he? So, and I'm not saying that I am all encompassing, but I know that with the gifts that I have, I can do great things. Mm-hmm. I know that enough to be a Sigma female, that I have been separated from a lot of other people, which has been very lonely. But actually, when I accept it, it actually makes it's very fulfilling. Mm-hmm. So
is it your o'clock again?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Should I gotta get myself one of them? Just saying.
So the question is, thank you, Eden. I love you to death. So the question is what would I say to your listeners? Let me just say, first of all, right, we were all born into the same contract. Doesn't matter who you are or where you were born or what religion you attach yourself to. Before any of that occurred, before there was genders, before there was anything like that, we were all born of a woman into humankind. There's no question about that. That means we should be kind humans, right? As soon as you start moving away from that, you are starting to really complicate the original contract. So first of all, find in you where that part of your contract is and see how healthy it is. If you want to go and follow the light, because you will know that you're a light person, what you then have to do, which is the really hard part, is you need to get rid of all the dark and the shadows inside you. You need to go inside and you need to go to those places where it's dark and dusty and shadowy, and you need to push light in there. Because until you get rid of those places, you will always question why they're there and what that means in terms of your linear position in the world. Once you've done that, you will start to discover that your messages will come clear and you'll have an understanding of when you speak to yourself with your inner narrative versus when spirit comes to you. And when you know, like me, going to the garage sale and going, right, and then going, oh, I've got to have that clock, right? And just buying it and bringing it home and thinking, oh, okay. You will know when your messages are clear and concise and help you to take you to the next space of combined humanity and combined light life. Because that's the ultimate. The ultimate isn't working for the tax office for 40 years, watching Married at First Sight UK, and then being unhappy with your life. And then the doctor says you've got 3 months to live and you do all your living in 3 months. That is the McDonald's of life. It's not right. I mean, I can't really say any clearer than that, because I think it can become quite frightening. And sometimes it frightens me. Like if I wake up in the middle of the night and there's someone sitting on the end of my bed and they say, you know what, doing a good job. And I'm like, all right, okay, right, mate. All right, thank you. I've got to sleep now, right? And I say that to somebody at the chip shop. Then like, literally, they're like, we need to sort her out. That's not a part of their world. But it's been part of the bigger world forever.
Mm.
Or if I say to Dawn, your brother's here and he wants to know why you're not talking to him, that's a big jar. That's a jar on somebody. But that's part of the bigger world.
It is.
And the linear world doesn't work for anyone. If you go to a cinema and you watch a film where people resolve things by killing other people, that's not the way the world's supposed to be. We're supposed to sit down, talk, share food, and then love each other and then leave. But there is not a movie out there at the moment, even in Disney, where the resolution isn't death. It's not right. It's not right.
I have loved talking to you. I've absolutely loved talking to you. And just when you were speaking, I just want to, there were so many rich things that you shared in this podcast. And just when you were speaking, I remember when I first connected with you and, you know, we connected back about 6 months ago when you first bought the house. Might have been longer than 6 months. And you'd only just moved in. And you hadn't got the internet hooked up, or like it was like, I've just got the internet on today, and there were boxes and stuff. And just sitting here listening to you in reflection of you grounding deeply into your Garden of Eden and just into you. Fuck, sister, you're a different person. And it is so magical to see you. It is so magical to see you fully immersed in all aspects of yourself, and you've got so many big things to offer the world. And just thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your heart, your absolute heart, and your journey and story with the listeners, because I know that so many people will connect to this on
I hope so.
multiple levels.
Thank you so much, Lilly. Thank you. Thank you for being the key to what is going to open the door to so much. Like, I could not do this if you were not here.
Yes, you would, sister.
Well,
you're going to give you a kick up your ass.
No, but the thing is, but listen, I can go to the chip shop and talk like this, and they're like, whatever. I can go to my class and talk like that and go, whatever. It's not about those things. It's about these connections that make things stronger. It's like holding things together. You know, you can get one piece of paper, and it's nothing. But if you take it and you fold it and you fold it and you fold it, then it is something. It's the same paper.
Mm.
That's the strength in what we're doing and how we're getting that out there. That is the strength. And the coast, I think there are more women like this who are hiding than there are than they're not. And that's really important. And this beautiful home, Eden, for me, is the heart of something really big. And, you know, even as a child, I read books about, I read books about
recording. That's all right.
Yeah, I read books about the end of the world, like The Stand by Stephen King, or, you know, I read, Nora Roberts and, Book One, Blood and Bone, and about pandemics and end of worlds. And then there's always a person that builds the nucleus of something from years ago that they didn't realise they needed. And I feel like that's me. I feel like I am that person who is supposed to, the other day I'm carrying on my job, do you know what I mean, getting stuff done. And then I get this email pop up, and it was a guy, and he was like, "Hi, I've been working on these seeds in the Whanganui, and I really like to send you some." So I was like, "Oh, okay, send me some seeds." I didn't think it was real. And then he sent me all these seeds, all these amazing seeds for this, seeds for that, seeds for that. And all this package of seeds came, and I was like, and he's, "What's that? That's for this, that's for this." Never heard from him again. Sent him back, and I went, "Thank you so much. I'm so, you were so generous." Never heard from him again. And those things happen to me a lot because I'm supposed to grow something that is supposed to be part of the new thing that's supposed to happen. And that does frighten me because it's a big thing to take on. But every single part of my life has led me to this space. Every single one. Every single one. Every single one.
Isn't that just the magical bit that you can't, like, I know that the same for me when I say things to my husband and it comes true and he's just like, Isn't it just interesting? Isn't it just magical how it works?
I don't even think it's magic. I think magic is a really good word. But when I think of magic, I think of creating something out of nothing that somebody thinks. It's more like miracles, I think. I think every day in my life there are, like today, I know there'll be at least 5 miracles. And if I went to somebody and went, "Guess what happened?" Do you know what I mean? They'd be like, "No." But I also think that if Jesus Christ turned up at the Vatican, knocked on the door, they'd be like, "Terrorist." Do you know what I mean? Who do you think you are? You're an unclean person. You even got socks on. Out you go. No jewellery. No. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like we have to consider our mindset today to what is happening today. We also have to consider who we are as people and our own set of boundaries and moralistic code. Do you know what I mean? And then a lot of people carry a lot of trauma and feel a lot of things through trauma. That's what I'm saying to you and saying to your listeners. Within us all, there are things that my therapist always says that in every person there's a public person, a private person, and a secret person. I am saying to everyone out there, go out and see what's in that secret person. And if there's things that you don't like, you need to sort that out, because you can't be a light carrier if there's darkness in you. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. But you are responsible for those dark spaces within you. You're responsible for those shadows. You're responsible for those places where you don't go because it makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't do that, or because you're never going to be a fully viable version of yourself unless those things have been dispelled at all. Because if you wake up in the morning like I did in December and somebody says sell your house, you're going to go and ask everyone, should I sell my house? They'll say no, based on their feelings, not yours, and you won't do it. Yeah. And then that will start the crumbling sensation inside you. Whereas I was like, yeah, I'm going to sell it. Everyone was like, don't do it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. And I did.
And then it's that questioning, head over heart, mind, ego, what everyone else is filtering into you over your knowing, over your soul. When you allow this to lead, it's a different conversation.
That's right. And that is, and everyone will do that through their own trauma. I've got here, and then the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. That's what then happens. That's what then happens. You then become that tight bud. And if you look at a rose bush and a bud doesn't open, it just gets covered in insects and it just dies and dies and dies and it falls off. Whereas you look at a rose, what it does, it gets bigger, it opens, it gets a fragrance. And then what that does is a tactile memory for you for the next year. It lives on like a song. It lives on and on. But you have to be able to be strong enough to be that rose, and to be confident in that rose, and to be beautiful in that rose, and to be able to make sure your ego doesn't take over, because you are beautiful and you are fragrant and you are doing this thing, and you carry on to the next year, because the bud is not going to serve you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, sister. I absolutely love talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh. You are such a wonder. You know, there are angels, Lily, and you are an angel. You've even got the name of an angel. And, you know, take all that into consideration, because as much work as I've got to do, I think you've got just as much.
Oh, yeah. When I connect to my work, I go, holy shit. I'm just getting the wings. I'm just flapping. I'm just starting to percolate and move into it.
Yeah. And you say holy shit because the shit is holy. So the shit is holy. And, I have been tasked to read some books. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll read that book, and then I'll read that book. And I think that something big is soon to pass. And that will make the changes that are apparent happen very much quicker. And sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think, oh, I'm really scared. And then I think, oh, no, I'm not really. That's just a word. I don't actually feel it within inside me when I connect with my intuition, with my heart space, with my light. I think, oh, actually not, because I've been trained to do this my whole life. Being here is part of what the new version of the old version is. Because as I said to you in the beginning, to build something new, something has to be destroyed. And that is really big. And I think a lot of people have been given lots of opportunities to make decisions based on what is going to happen moving forward, and they haven't. And that's what scares me. Not what's going to happen, but because people are not making choices based on them as human beings, but as in beings being close to other humans, which is a different kind of thing.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's big. But it's like, look, today, like last night, I made a lovely fish pie, and today I'm in the office all day today, and I love that part of my life. And then it's raining here, as you can see. I've got all like scaffolding around my house, but I'll spend the afternoon in my garden just talking to my bits and pieces. And that is what I love is to be able to go upstairs to my bedroom and know that I have had a very productive day in all realms of who I am, because that makes me conducive to doing the job that I do in the linear world and in the spirit and the light world. And that's enough. That's enough for me and for Eden, for us to know that we are conducting ourselves appropriately for what is meant to be and what is meant to come. And for that, love me. Oh, just love me for that. And that's enough.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you.